ました。いかがでしょう。次、これは難しかったね。この方、日本語で読むとアウィッツトルって読みます。アウィッツトル。これを漢字で書くとこうだ。アウィッツトル、アウィッツトルね。優れている、意志を貫くみたいなお名前にしました。
So this video of Japanese multiplication has been going around for a little while, and even though I would be really surprised to learn that it had anything to do with actual Japanese people, it's interesting to look at how we can take a multiplication problem and turn it into a counting problem that we can solve visually. And if you think about it, for most people, for most of human history, that would be really useful, because learning your multiplication facts was not super high on your priority list if you were, say, a 14th century European farmer who was trying not to starve to death or die of the plague. But you still had to multiply things once in a while. So it'd be nice to have an algorithm that lets you do it just by counting, kind of as a rule of thumb, even if you didn't understand the actual math. But we can take a look at why it works. First of all, notice that if I wanted to multiply, say, 4 times 2, I could represent 4 with lines or sticks or whatever, and then cross that with 2 more, and if I count up those intersections, there are 8 in there. So what this picture really represents is the multiplication fact, 4 times 2 equals 8. Except I don't have to remember it, it's right there in front of me. When we move this into the context of a larger problem, you can see where it really helps if you don't know your facts. So I'll represent 21 with 2 sticks for the tens and 1 for the ones, and then 13 with 1 and then 3. You'll notice that this really isn't much different from the way we write things in numerals. That 2 in 21, for example, isn't really a 2, it's a 20. And those 2 lines on the left aren't really 2 lines, they're 2 lines of 10 each. We can color code them and make it a little bit simpler to keep track of. So there are the 10s and the 1s. Well, let's see how this stacks up against our kind of normal multiplication. If I start off on the right with 1 intersecting 1, there are 3 of those intersections, which corresponds to 1 times 3, and I leave it in the 1's place. On the left, if I count those 2 intersections, that's really 2 10s and 1 10. So that 2 is not really a 2, it's a 200. 20 times 10. And then in the middle, I have red intersecting green. So up here, that's 2 10s times 3 1s, which gives me 60. And then down here I have 1 10 and 1 1, which gives me just, well, 10. So that's a total of 7 10s. And you can see that that matches up with our multiplication on the right. Some of you may recognize that as the partial products algorithm you probably learned in school at some point. If we want a little bit trickier problem, one that requires regrouping, we can try 123 times 321. There's 3 hundreds, 2 10s, and 1 1. And let's color code them again. Hundreds, tens, ones. Well, if I look out here where my 1s intersect my 1s, I wind up with 3 intersections. And so I leave that 3 in the 1's place. Next up, I have yellow intersecting green, which means I'm getting 10s and 1s. So out of that, I'm going to get 10s. If I count up those intersections, there are 8. So 8 goes in the 10s place. On the left, I get 3 intersections, but that's hundreds and hundreds, which gives me 10,000s. So 3 goes in the 10,000s place. Now I have red and yellow, so that's hundreds and tens, which is going to give me thousands. If you count them up, there are 8 of those. And in the middle, I either have red intersecting green, which is 1s and hundreds, or I have yellow intersecting yellow, which is 10s and tens. Either way, that's the hundreds place. And if you count them up, you wind up with 14 hundreds. Now, just like in regular multiplication, that's a problem. I can't have 14 in the hundreds place, so that really is 1,400. So I take that 1 and I bump it over to the thousands place, and I wind up with 39,483, which happens to be the correct answer. If we want to simplify things a little bit for ourselves, we can take a look ahead of time at where our intersections are going to leave us, and we can write out some placeholder zeros. For example, these are hundreds times hundreds, or 10 squareds times 10 squareds. That multiplication is going to leave me with 4 trailing zeros, because 10 squared times 10 squared gives me 10 to the 4th. So that 3 I get when I count up the intersection tells me I really have 3 10,000s. The next space over, now I have 10 squareds intersecting with just 10s. So again, that's going to give me 3 zeros, because 10 squared times 10 to the first is 10 to the third. So when I get those 8 intersections, that tells me I really have 8 thousands. If I bring the ones place into the mix, now I either have 10 to the 0 times 10 squared, which is 10 squared, or I have 10 to the first times 10 to the first, which is 10 squared. Either way, I get 2 trailing zeros in the hundreds place. So when I count up those 14 intersections, that tells me I have 14 groups of 100. Now I have yellow and green, which is my tens place and my ones place, which is going to leave me with 1 trailing zero, or 10 to the first. There are 8 of those, so I have 8 tens, or 80. And finally, my lonely ones, intersecting ones, I'm going to have no trailing zeros, so those 3 that I get just go at the end. Now when I add them up, I get the same result as I did before, 39,483. Well, let's go back to that first problem. To really appreciate why this might be useful if you don't know your multiplication facts, we have to pretend like we don't know our multiplication facts. And for most of you, that's probably really hard. So a nice trick is to try doing it in a different base. Because if you're like me, you don't know your base 6 multiplication facts, but you can count in base 6. In base 10, when we get up to 9, we put a 0 and we move 1 place over. So now we're going to try it in base 6, and we're going to get to 5, and then we'll start with a 0 and move 1 over in our place value. So 21 is just 3 3 in base 6. You can kind of verify that 2 10s and 1 1 are the same as 3 6s and 3 1s. And then 13, which is 1 10 and 3 1s, is also 2 6s and 1 1. So now we can draw our picture just like we did before. 3 in the 6's place and 3 in the 1's place, 2 in the 6's place, and 1 in the 1's place. And again, let's color code it to keep track. Now, when I look over here, this is my 6's place intersecting with my 6's place, which in base 6 is just 10, or 1 0. So I'm going to leave myself with 2 trailing zeros, just like before, which is 10 in base 6 squared. So now I count out my intersections, remembering that I'm counting in base 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 0. So I have 1 0 groups of 10 squared. My middle intersection, now I'm bringing the ones place into play. So this is going to leave me with 1 trailing 0, or 10 to the first in base 6. And I count those again, remembering that I have to roll over at 5. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 0, 1 1, 1 2, 1 3. So I have 1 3 groups of, let's say, 10s. My 1s I treat just like my 1s, and I have 3 of those. And when I add those up, you can see that I get 1,133, or really 1133 in base 6, which is true.
かなと吐く。
な、に、ぬ、ね、の、
は、ひ、ふ、へ、ほ、ま、み、 む、め、も、や、ゆ、よ、ら、り、る、れ、ろ、わ、お、ん、
な、に、ぬ、ね、の、
は、ひ、ふ、へ、ほ、ま、み、む、め、も、や、ゆ、よ、ら、り、る、れ、ろ、わ、お、ん、夏、肉、布、猫、のり、箸、飛行機、お風呂、ヘビ、星、マグロ、みかん、麦、メガネ、森、山、雪、夜、
ラーメン、
りんご、冷蔵庫、わさび、
にちは、たかこです。先ほど気づいたんですけども、すでに何名かの方が私のビデオをサブスクライブしてくださっていました。なのにですね、最近忙しくて、全然アップロードできていなかったので、とても申し訳なく思っています。すみません。今4ヶ月間旅をしていまして、あと2週間で日本に戻ります。時間ができますので、新しいビデオをどんどんアップロードしていきたいと思います。皆さんの言語学習に少しでも貢献できるようなビデオを、シェアしていきたいと思っていますので、今後ともよろしくお願いいたします。ではまたすぐに。Hi everyone, it's Takako. I have been keeping traveling around for 4 months and I don't really have time to work on my new videos. And I just realized some people subscribed my videos, but I only have a few videos here, so I feel I have to work on it hard. I will be done with my traveling in 2 weeks, and as soon as I get back in Japan, I will upload some videos. So please look forward to it. Hopefully, they will help you to improve your Japanese listening skills. See you guys soon. Bye. 你好，我叫桂子，日文名字是 Takako。我最近4个月都在欧洲自助旅行，然后都没有时间去更新我的 YouTube 频道。那我刚才发现已经有一些朋友订阅我的频道，那我觉得非常抱歉，是我最近都没有时间去更新呢。那我在这边只有2-3部影片可以看，我觉得非常不好意思。那在2个礼拜后，我就回去日本，比较有时间去拍我的影片，然后我想想我可以讲什么呢？那可能介绍你们一些日本的文化、日本人的讲话方式等等。那希望我的影片可以帮助你学习日文，了解日本的文化。那再会喽，拜拜。
かなと吐く。
あ、い、う、え、お、か、き、く、け、こ、さ、し、す、せ、そ、た、 ちつてと
なにぬねの
はひふへほまみむめもやゆよらりるれろわおんあいうえおかきくけこさしすせそたちつてと
なにぬねの
はひふへほまみむめもやゆよらりるれろわおん
Hi guys, so today I'm going to be teaching you Japanese numbers, and Japanese numbers are actually really easy. They can get a bit confusing, but once you get the hang of them, they're really easy, especially the first 10. So I'm going to tell you guys how to do 1 through 10 and then how to build numbers. So 0 is zero, or rei, but I don't really use rei that much, I just say 0. 1 is each, 2 is ni, 3 is san. Sorry if I'm looking at the screen, I have some notes written down on the screen. 4 is shi or yon, but I prefer to use shi. I don't know if I'm weird like that. I like the old version, because there's like shi is like older and yon is like the newer one. I don't really use yon though. 5 is go, 6 is rock. Oh, and by the way, with like those, the ones that have 2 different names, like you can use either one, it doesn't matter. 7 is nana. The older name is shichi, or shich. But I don't really use that one. It's really weird because I use the old version for 4 and I use the new version for 7. 8 is hach, and 9 is q or q, but I use q. And then 10 is ju. So each, ni, san, shi, go, rock, nana, hach, q, ju. Okay, so now if you want to build numbers, then it's really easy. So if you want to go from 11 to 19, all you need to do is you need to just go with the numbers you had before. So, but you start every single one with ju. So if you want to do 11, ju each. 12 is ju ni. 13 is ju san. 14 is ju shi. 15 is ju go. 16 is ju rock. And for 17, you do need to use shichi. So ju shichi. 18 ju hachi. Or ju hach, sorry, I don't want to say hachi. 19 ju Q, and you need to use Q, not Q. And then for 20, ni ju. So you're adding 2 and 10 together. So then ni ju each would be 21. See what I'm saying? And then, etc., etc. 100 is hayaku. Interesting fact, it also means like quick. But 100 is hayaku. And if you want to say 150, hayaku goju. Ni hayaku 200, so you add 2 and 100 and you get 200. It's really easy. Yeah. So 1000 is sen. So if you want to say 1500, again, you would say sen go hayaku, because sen is 1000, go is 5, and hayaku is 100. Isn't that interesting? That was really cool. So ichiman each mon is 10,000. Jumon is 100,000. Hayakuman is 1,000,000. Senmon is 10,000,000. And Ichioku is 100,000,000. So yeah, that's basically numbers. And ooh, my hair's getting parted. But yeah, so tell me if you guys have any questions on any of these or anything. I will have more Japanese videos up. I'll actually probably record another one right after this. So I hope you guys enjoyed this Japanese tutorial. And if you want to see more tutorials, just subscribe right up here. I have makeup tutorials, fashion tutorials, Japanese tutorials, all kinds of stuff. So please just subscribe, and I will see you all later. Oh, and dance tutorials too. Just had to mention that. Okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Alright, so this is the first of a series that I will be doing from now on. It's gonna be going through the Hiragana and Katakana of Japanese, and this is the vowel row right here. A, I, U, E, O. A, I, U, E, O. And now after this, we're gonna start by practicing. And the order is very important. Down and around like that. I'll show you again. Down and around. Down and around. Almost a circle, but not quite. That was A. And E. Like that. E. Here's U. E. U. I'm sorry, U. And here's E. Here's O. O. Like that. You want it in that order. A. E. U. E. O. You don't want to pronounce E as an I, the I as an I. You want an E sound. That's how the I is pronounced. And you want E for the E. You do not want to pronounce it like E. You don't want to pronounce E like an E. You want E. E. And O is not a long sound. It's not O, it's O. Is like the on father. It's not the A as in cat. You don't want that at all. It's ah, E, U, E, O, like that. We'll practice again. Oops, that was O. Nope. Ah, you want it that way. Ah. Then here's E. Here's U. And E. It's kind of a fancy H. And O. Ah. E. U. E. The fancy H. O. Just like that. And now we're going on to the next row, which is the K row. K row. Here's Ka. Remember, you want to do it in this order, which is Ki. And this here is Ku. Here is Ke. Don't worry, I'm gonna show it in a row again. Here's Ko. And you see those little brush marks? You want those there. E has them too. See the little brush strokes right there? They're actually part of the symbol Ko. Now, in a row again, here's Ka. Here's Ki. Remember to do the horizontal first with Ku. And oops, here is Ke. And here's Ko. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Just like that. Practice again. Here's Ka. Here's Ki. Here's Ku. Ke. It's a little brush stroke. Here's Ko. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Like ko. Like that. Ka is like E, and U. Ke is like ke. Ke is like ko, and O. They're all pronounced the same, if you haven't noticed yet. So, see, we have Ka, Ki, Ku, and Ke, and a Ko. ki, ku, ke, ko. Just like that. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Now we're going to do a little review of the last two rows we did. And here is ah, ah. And here's e. Here's oo, oo. Here's eh. And o. Oops. Need to write my own letters right. Here's ka, ka. Here's ki, ki. And ku. And you want to do ke with the little brush stroke. Ke, ke. Here is ko. Right there, ko. With the little brush stroke there too. Now we're going to do the jiro. You're probably going to think it's a little crazy, but it's not that crazy because you kind of already know the jiro. And it's because of these little marks right here called dakuten. They're important. Here's the jiro. I'm going to start in the correct order. And, well, that looks familiar, doesn't it? But this is ga. It's not ka, but it's ga because of those dakuten right there. It's basically ka with dakuten, which will turn it into ga. To remind you, here's ka. That's ka. But here is ga. There's a difference. Ga. And we're going to do gi. Now, look. A ki. The dakuten is gi. See, we have ki. The dakuten turns into gi. Gi. See, here's a ki. With the dakuten, it turns into gi. Because if you haven't noticed, what the dakuten does is it hardens the sound. So here is gu. Gu. Which comes from ku. Just with some dakuten on top. Gu. And here's ku. And with dakuten, it turns into gu. Gu. And here is ge. Ge. Just like that. And if you haven't yet noticed, if you say ke aloud, ke, here's ke, and then you say, oops, and then you say ge, if you notice where your tongue had been when it hit the top of your mouth, that's what makes a g sound. So here's go. Say go. And remember, it's not go. It's not like our go, like I'm going somewhere. It's go, go. It's a short sound. Go. And here's ko. With the Dakuten, with something that hardens the ko sound, it turns into go. See, there's a symbol for ko. And with Dakuten, it makes go. Now we're gonna go back and we're gonna do a little bit of some review. If you remember what this symbol is. What is this is? O. This is O. This symbol here, do you remember what this is at all? This is E. E. You want to pronounce it like E, as in feed. Like that. E. 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 It is not the I in English as in it. It's not that at all. You never pronounce it like that. It's E. E. You know what this sound is? It's ga. Remember the Dakuten there. Ga. Remember the A? It's pronounced as in father. Ah. Ga. It's not like the A in cat. That's ga. It's ga. 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 Remember the order is important. You want it to do it like that. So, and this symbol here is ki, if you remember. You know how to pronounce that by now, right? And symbol here. You remember what this one is? This one is gu. Gu. It's pronounced like that O there in food. Gu. Goo. 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 It's not like an ugh or beautiful. It's always like ooh. Ooh. Just like that. Now we're gonna go over it again. Here is a, e, u, e, o, ka. I did a little out of order. It's alright. Ki was done perfectly. Here's ke, ko, and and ga. That's a little sloppy looking. Let's move that down. Ga, gi. Here's gu. Oops. Nge. The Dakuten. And here is go. A, I, U, E, O. Ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. Ga, gi, gu, ge, go. Now I want to thank you for joining me in learning the first 3 rows in the Japanese hiragana. It's the vowel, K, and G row. Thanks.
Hello, this is lesson 2, and we're just going over a little bit more stuff.
That's about
I guess it's the
manners, I guess.
Yeah, it's not the basics, but kind of like the basics, you could say. Sumimasen means excuse me. Now, we don't have a lot for this video. We've got about 3 words, but we've got some questions to ask. The next one is sumimasen. They're almost the same exact thing. I don't have that good of an accent, but pardon me, it means. And the next one is damlase. which is
Sorry, the camera was slipping.
yeah, damase means I'm sorry, which is basically when you hurt someone, knock them down, trip them, you say I'm sorry, or you would say damase.
If you're in
Japanese.
Japan. Sorry.
Okay, that's all we have for this lesson. We've got a few more plans planned out for the next lessons, but please comment, please subscribe, tell your friends. We really could use a little extra people because we have no views right now.
This is our first video. Well, actually, our second for the Japanese.
Yeah, we'll have some Halo Reach and Call of Duty once I'm sure of it in. But right now, currently, we're going to try teaching a language for a little bit because this is just, I thought it'd be a good idea to get my publicity up because some people like to learn languages. And I just happen to know some Japanese. And so, you know, why not teach it and get a little bit of publicity? And after that, I'll do Halo Reach, Call of Duty, and stuff. I'm not a half-bad quickscoper in Modern Warfare 3, and that game's pretty hard to quickscope in. But please subscribe, please comment. I already know I said that, but like
Just
please,
reminding you.
yeah, we just really could use some people. I'm kind of yeah, never mind. See you guys. Sayonara. Hope you guys took notes today, and see you next video. Please leave comments and see what to do next, okay?
がぎぐげござじずぜぞだずでどばびぶべぼがぎぐげござじずぜぞだずでど ばびぶべぼぱぴぷぺぽぱぴぷぺぽ
This brings us to the next concept in mathematics, or the next area of mathematics that children usually despise. And here's the thing, is that many people find, or we've done many studies, where we teach multiplication so late in the education system that the brain of the child is past the repetition point, and the multiplication becomes tedious and hard, and we start losing children right there. And if we haven't lost them there, we then lose them in this thing called long division. Many children decided they don't like math after they have to do long division. And it's a compounding problem, because part of the problem there is that they haven't got the multiplication down. So of course the division becomes more difficult. But let's make division and the concept of division, using a rectangle and counting things that are same, very simple, where we can introduce it to even very young children, or maybe just 4 or 5 years old. Let's tell a story about Boy Scouts. I'm from Hawaii, so we talk about pineapples in our Boy Scout story. 12 Boy Scouts go out and pick some pineapple. And they pick 132 pineapples. And at the end of the day, the farmer says to them, well, gee, you picked 132 of these, why don't you just take them and divide them up equally among yourselves and take them home. So how many, would be the question, does each Boy Scout get? If they have 12 Boy Scouts, or if we have 12 Boy Scouts, they pick 132 pineapple, how many does each Boy Scout get? Here's the simple problem. Now, let's illustrate this using Mortensen math. And again, we would use a 3-period lesson to develop these concepts. This is 100. These are tens. And you know, when we're adding tens together, 1 10, 2 tens, 3 tens, 3 tens want 7 tens to become 100, and so forth. 9 tens needs 1 10 to become 100, and the concept is the same as when we were doing addition with single units with tens. Hundreds, tens, and some units. And here we have 132 pineapple. Now, our problem said, and I'll put this problem up here, that we had 12 Boy Scouts. And you could even get blocks out, and for expediency's sake, I'm not going to do that, but you could get blocks out, and now these are just Boy Scouts. And you could put them up here, or on your table, or wherever you're working, and line up 12 Boy Scouts. And you know, this could be tall Boy Scout, another one, and then we could have some Boy Scouts here that showed up in uniform, and you line them up here, and you say, well, let's see, if I was going to pass out my pineapple to each Boy Scout, could I pass them out one at a time. One. Oh, that would take forever, wouldn't it? Because we'd have to start breaking up the tens. Oh, I could pass them out 10 at a time. 10. But that would take forever too. So here's what I'm going to do. If I have my 12 Boy Scouts, you have to use your imagination that they're lined up here waiting for their pineapples. Could I just pass out my pineapple like this? And I've passed out now. Each one gets 10. Everybody has 10. Now, I'm not done, but can you see that I've passed out 102 tens? Passed out 120. And if I'm a little child, I can see that I've passed out 102 tens, and I have some left. Am I done passing out my pineapple? Well, I have, how many here? Oops. I have 12. I have 12 left. All right, so I pass them out like this, and I'm done. I have each Boy Scout receiving 11. You see that right here? This Boy Scout would get 11. This Boy Scout over here would get 11. Everyone would get 11. So if I have a rectangle, which is what I have here, with 132 pineapples in it, or 132, and I pass them out to my 12 Boy Scouts, each one gets 11. And another way to look at this is that if one side of this rectangle is 12, the other side is 11. And it really is that simple. And see, most people don't realize that this symbol right here is shorthand for rectangle. Now, if you put this in class or on your paper and you just put 11 there and you don't show your work, you may be penalized for this if you just knew in your mind that you could put it together like that. So, we need to be able to show our work. So what do we do first? Well, first, and this is just the concept of it, we do this. We count the 120. And we see as we're going along this side, and we could use the example of Hiram the ant up on his little step ladder, and he sees that when he goes by here, he's not just counting the edge anymore, he's not just counting the 10 and the 1, he's counting everything that he sees here. He goes by 120. Now, what's left? Well, we look down here and we can see that there was 12 left. I said we hadn't passed out all of our pineapples and there's still 12 left. So we pass out the other 12 pineapples, or these 12 pineapples, and there's none left to pass out. And you can see that this mirrors the notation. In fact, this is where the notation came from. Now, many students will say, well, 12 goes into 13 once, and they don't even put a 0 here, because they don't understand the concept that we've actually counted 120, and that it's 10 times 12. And they just use an algorithm with no understanding of what they're doing. So later on, when they get to the quote-unquote higher mathematics, they're confused, and this is hard. And this is just one example. And like I said, because we are pressed for time, 1 hour to present all these concepts in mathematics. But can you see, we use the rectangle to facilitate counting. Simple as that. And when we counted, we never even got off this hand to solve this problem. How high did we have to count to? We counted to 1. We counted 1 of these blue ones and 1 of these green ones. We never got even close to 9. We only count things that are same. We couldn't call this 2 because this is a big blue one and this is a green one and they don't look same at all. So I have to mark them as 1 of those and 1 of those. We only count things that are same. And we didn't even use 0 or 1 to solve this problem. So those first 3 concepts, mathematics is a study of numbers and all we're doing is counting. The highest number we count to is 9. We only count things that are same. And we form a rectangle to facilitate counting. Is all we need to do this division. Now, we're going to change things, but it's going to be the same. We're going to change things by changing the base. This is base 10. Now we move into base x.
きゃ、きゅ、きょ、しゃ、しゅ、しょ、ちゃ、ちゅ、ちょ、にゃ、にゅ、にょ、ひゃ、ひゅ、ひょ、みゃ、みゅ、みょ、りゃ、りゅ、りょ、きゃ、きゅ、きょ、しゃ、しゅ、しょ、ちゃ、ちゅ、ちょ、にゃ、にゅ、にょ、ひゃ、ひゅ、ひょ、みゃ、みゅ、みょ、りゃ、りゅ、りょ、ぎゃ、ぎゅ、ぎょ、じゃ、じゅ、じょ、びゃ、びゅ、びょ、 ぎゃ、ぎゅ、ぎょ、じゃ、じゅ、じょ、びゃ、びゅ、びょ、ぴゃ、びゅ、びょ、ぴゃ、びゅ、びょ、
返す、帰る、帰る. What are you doing? I'm studying my verbs. Well, do you have to do that? Yeah, verbs are the most important part of a language. Kaburu. No, I mean, wait, what? Verbs are the most important part of a language. Yeah, Michelle Thomas said they're the backbone of a language. Michelle Thomas. Michelle Thomas. Kaesu. Kaesu. Kaeru. Kaeru. Kagiru. Hello, fellow pilgrims, and welcome back to Gengo no Tabi. My name is Wes, and it's been a while since I shared with you what I'm doing to study. I like to do that every once in a while. It might give you fresh direction or just be some food for thought. And just possibly it'll excite some conversation in the comment box about what you guys are doing to study, and we can all help each other out that way, and maybe I'll get some fresh ideas. Recently I decided to add another pathway of studying to what I was doing. I decided to expand my verb vocabulary. I think that was kind of random, but as I started studying my verbs, I started to think how important are verbs relative to the other parts of a sentence. And it sounds funny to say, you know, verbs are more important than a noun. But it turns out it is a debated topic, and some very authoritative people in language study have suggested that verbs are one of the more important parts of a sentence. One thing to note in Japanese, as some other languages, is that verbs don't just tell you what's happening in the sentence, they also pass on a lot of other information. For example, the tense of the sentence. And in Japanese, they mark the end of the sentence. So if you're a new student and somebody's talking very fast, it wouldn't hurt at all if you could catch your verbs and at least know when one sentence is beginning and the next is ending. Okay, so anyhow, I found a great list of verbs at a website I use sometimes to study at called 123 Japanese. It's a very nicely put together little site and has a lot of different places to study within it. You click on verbs here, and here is an extensive list of verbs, and they are conjugated in te form, mas form, and dictionary form. When I first looked at this, I thought I was going to know most of them, but it's an extensive list. There's a lot of verbs, and I definitely have a lot of verbs to learn still. So, I printed this up so I can carry it around. Here is my 3-ring binder, which I have a couple of these for studying Japanese, and I have my list of them here. So, there you have it. I hope that's some help to somebody. Please rate, comment, and subscribe.
Minasan, konnichiwa. It's Wolfhaven13 on the Japanese Learners channel. So, pretty much today is going to be a quick lesson, mini lesson, about the particles de and to, I guess. And pretty much this came about because I was scouring some forums, Japanese to random class forums, long title, I know. And somebody was asking if they could use the particle de, which kind of translates to with or by means of or at. And could they use it, you know, if they were doing something with someone, like talking with them? So could you say, shinobi de hanashimashita, you know, I talked with a shinobi. And for that, you can't. That with, it just doesn't work. For that with, you would use to, the particle to. So shinobi to hanashimashita would be correct. Now, the particle de and to, they both can mean with, but pretty much it's in English we use with for 2 different circumstances that I can think of right now, and in Japanese they separate it with the to and de particles. So for example, in English we would say I ate dinner with a spoon. So, you know, you use the spoon as a utensil to eat your dinner. It makes sense, right? Now think about this. I ate dinner with a friend. I didn't change anything except for the last word. I ate dinner with a spoon, I ate dinner with a friend, but the meaning completely changes. I ate dinner with a friend means me and my friend, you know, we ate dinner together. But I ate dinner with a spoon means I used the spoon. It doesn't mean, you know, I had a spoon friend next to me and we both ate dinner. And the other one doesn't mean I used my friend as a utensil to eat my dinner, you know, like maybe cupping his hand and like dipping it in my oatmeal and then eating out of his hand. I don't know, that'd be weird. When I think of that, it reminds me of if you go to like a petting zoo and you get those little pellets for the animals, and like you go up to a goat or something and, you know, the goat just like goes to town in your hand and leaves like this slimy mess residue on your hand, and you're just like, oh, must wash hand. Does anybody have sanitizer? Ugh. Like that's the kind of image I get when I think of, you know, eating dinner with a friend, but in that other meaning. You can also use de for location, for an action, as in koen de hono yomimashita. Like, I read a book at the park or whatever. you can also use it by means of, as in, kuruma de kimashita, I came by car. But it doesn't really work with, with someone. So pretty much if you want to use with to say that you're doing something by using something else, you would use de. That'd be the right particle to use for that, spoon de gohan o tabemashita, I ate my food with the spoon. And if you want to use, like, you did something with someone else, it would be along the lines of tomodachi to gohan o tabemashita. I ate my food with a friend. Well, more full sentence would be tomodachi to issho ni gohan o tabemashita. Together with my friend. But that's kind of the difference between the two particles. So that's pretty much the end of the lesson. And if you have any questions or any suggestions for any questions about Japanese that I can help you with and make analogies about, maybe leave it in the comment section below or on my Facebook page for Japanese Learnage. I'll leave the link in the description. So that's about it. So, aboyo.
Book 3. We'll do a problem from Book 3. We have the first name of our rectangle, the factor's name of our rectangle. We have the distance over, 112, and we have the distance up, 11. And we could write that 112 over 11 up in the parentheses, and we could also write it longhand. Here we would write it 100 plus 10 plus 2. That would be our distance over. Let's look at that a little closer. 100 plus 10 plus 2 over, and 10 plus 2 up. Well, let's get the first piece. What would our first piece be if we went over 100 and up 10? Let's connect that. Over 100 and up 10. Okay, you should even be able to visualize that in your mind. You're coming way over 100 and up 10. Before we get the piece, however, let's make sure we do our notation over here. This is our over distance, this is our up distance, and our first piece is over 100 and up 10. Let's get the piece over 100 and up 10. Notice we are over 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, or 10 tens, and we are up 10, 110, over 100, up 10. We got our first piece over 100, up 10. Now we must also be over 10. Let's look here. We need to be over 10 more. 10 more. We can see what that piece is. Always trace your finger around the piece. 10. So that you see it before you ever get it. We came over 10 more. We also need to be over 2 more. Notice, we must come over. And let's use something with a little color here so we can see. We must come over 1, 2 more. We can see what that piece is, so we will come over 2 more. Okay. We got our first piece. We came over 10. We came over 2 more. How far up did we need to be? Of course, we needed to be up 10, and we already went up 10, getting our first piece. We need to be up 2 more. We need to take this piece and extend the entire piece up 2 more units. We extended it up 2 more units. Here we can see that we need to extend this piece up 2 more units to bring the entire amount up 2 more units. I used my solid piece, so I will use 2 little 10 bars to bring this up 2. I must fill in the corner 2 by 2. I multiplied. I built a rectangle. I built a rectangle so I could find the other name of my rectangle. My first name of the rectangle was the dimensions. 112 by is another way of saying over and up. 112 by 11. 112 over 11 up, or 112 by 11. Notice, I can shift my rectangles. I see that my one rectangle is made up of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rectangles. The 6 smaller rectangles are referred to, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 smaller rectangles are referred to as partial products. Let's fill in our partial products and find the amount, the other name of our rectangle. Here we have 2 twice, 4 units. Here we have 1 rectangle, 1 10 twice, 1 twice is 2. Here I have 1 long hundred. 1 long hundred, which is made up of 10 bars, just like our square hundred. They are all made up. The long one and the square one are both made up of 10 bars. 10 bars. I have 1 long bar of 100 twice, or 2. I have 2 bars once, or 2 bars. I have 1 square once, 1. I have 1,000 bar once, 1,000. Again, 2 units, 2 tens, 2 long hundreds, 2 tens, 100, 1,000. Totally I have 4 units, 4 tens, 300, 1,000. My answer is, or my other name for the rectangle is the amount 1,344. The other name that I was given was, or is, 112 over 11 up. I can also say that 112 by 11.
All right, now we spend a lot of time and emphasis on building tens, since of course it's base 10 mathematics that we're teaching. This is a 10. Now, what does 9 need to be a 10? And of course, all the other numbers want to be 10s. 9 needs a 1 to be 10. And of course, 8 needs a 2. And again, it's visually obvious to the child. And you notice we're not using any symbols on this board. We're just playing with blocks and using verbal and kinesthetic skills to build tens. And later on, we can put the symbols in. So 9 needs a 1, 8 needs a 2, 7 needs a 3, 6 needs a 4, and 5 needs a twin if he wants to be 10. Or if she wants to be 10. And all we've done here is build with blocks and have a good time. Now here, all we're doing is showing you the blocks. We have lots of games where we build towers and we can stand them up and make skyscrapers where they use their motor skills, their finer motor skills to place the blocks on top of each other and basically understand that we can build numbers out of other numbers, and in this case we're building tens. And we need to have these concepts understood and readily available to the child's mind so that later on when we teach subtraction, and you'll see other things like problem solving and so forth, that they have no problem understanding what they need to do and they don't have to count on their fingers.
Let's do a problem in Book 2. First of all, we will write our factors shorthand. And we have one of our names for the rectangle. We will write our factors longhand. 20 plus 2, 30 plus 4. Here we have our over and up distances. Over 20, up 30, we have identified our first piece. We will place our first piece down and notice it is very important that we are over 20 and up 30 and that we are not over 30 and up 20. Over 20, up 30. Let's come over here and also indicate that the numbers written this way is our over factor or over distance and up distance. And let's identify our first piece. Over 2 bars of 10, up 3 bars of 10. We must be over 20 plus 2. 20 plus 2. We can see what that piece should be, and we will get it. $20 plus 2. We must be up 4 more units. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see what that piece should be. We will get it. Now we must fill in the corner. Over 2, up 4. Notice we can shift so that the units are in one column, the tens in one column, and the hundreds in a column. And here we see the shift with our little boxes here. How many units do we have? We have 2 units 4 times, 2 4 times, or 8. How many tens do we have? We have 2 4 times, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And it's very important that we phrase it that way. We have 2. We understand that they are bars. We understand that they are tens. But we have 2 of them 4 times. 2 4 times is 8. How many do we have here? Here we can see we have 2. And it's very important that we do see that we literally have 2. 1, 2, 3 times. Or 6. And we understand that those are tens. And what do we have here? Here we can see that we have 2. We literally have 2, 1, 2, 3 times. It's very important that we see that. It's very important that we are looking at one, 2, 1, 2, 3 times. Let's look at it again. It's very important that we're seeing that we have 2, 3 times. We have 6. And we know that those are 6 hundreds. Okay, we know how to add. We have 8 units, 14 bars, which is the same as 4 bars in 1 square. And there we have the 7 squares. We multiplied, we built a rectangle. We built a rectangle so we could find the other name of the rectangle, over 22, up 34.
Now let's go through the basic operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, using the Mortensen math techniques. We use a game called Having a Party, and we also build tens, and play a game called All the Numbers Want to Be a 10. And basically what we're teaching the children, or the students, is that numbers are made up of other numbers. And we use an emphasis on 9 and 10, and you'll see why in just a moment. We're going to start with addition, because that's where most people start in our curriculums in school. But understand that with Mortensen Mathematics, all you need is the ability to count to 9, identify a rectangle, and understand whether something is same or different or not. And we can start anywhere, in problem solving, subtraction, multiplication, division, or addition. It doesn't matter. But we play games, many, many games. One of the games is called Having a Party. And we can start, of course, with the lower numbers, but because of time constraints, we're going to start with 9. So of course we've been playing with numbers, we've been playing building 5s and 6s and 7s, and now we're going to play building 9s. So here is 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I want to build a 9, I need to start off with something here for the children, and we're going to say this is an 8. what does 8 need to be a 9? Or if 9 was having a party and 8 wanted to go, who would he have to take? Well, it's visually obvious. And if 7 wanted to go, and little kids enjoy this. If 7 wanted to go, well, have to bring a 2. And of course, if 6 wants to go to 9's party, needs a 3. Now all this is, numbers are made up of other numbers. We can build 8s and 7s and 6s. We can build 5s and 4s. 4s are pretty boring to build. We can build 3s, which are really boring. We can build 2s, which are really, really boring because the only way you can build a 2 is with 2 1s. But for little children, when they're first discovering this, it's a ton of fun. And we play many, many other games to bring this concept home. Now, 8 needs a 1, 7 needs a 2, 6 needs a 3, and the last one, of course, 5 needs a 4. Now the reason why we spend so much time on this is because it is crucially important that children understand that numbers are made up of other numbers.
優秀賞、じゃあ、長男、あなたの作品は福岡県外国人技能実習生協会組合連絡協議会主催の第3回外国人技能実習生日本語作品発表コンクールにて優秀な成績を収められました。よってこれをしております。平成23年10月16日、福岡県外国人技能実習生受け入れ組合連絡協議会会長、準会長。どうもおめでとうございます。優秀賞 B 国税の理科学部でございます。おめでとうございました。おめでとうございます。優秀賞としてドライヤー特定、そしてコーヒーが贈呈されます。優秀賞各玉への理科学部でございます。おめでとうございました。優秀賞の賞金2万円と副賞として東京会場日動火災保険株式会社様より図書カード5000円分食用油が贈呈されます。おめでとうございます。優秀賞高連度の理科学部でございます。おめでとうございました。おめでとうございます。株式会社様より図書カード5000円分ゼリーセットがお送りされます。おめでとうございます。最優秀賞ヤン・ソフィアン、あなたの作品は福岡県外国人技能実習生受け入れ組合連絡協議会主催の第3回外国人技能実習生日本語作品発表コンクールにて優秀な成績を収められました。よってこれを承知します。平成23年10月16日、福岡県外国人技能実習生受け入れ組合連絡協議会会長を始められました。本当におめでとうございました。副賞として南アフリカ株式会社様より食料品
一期一会ということで、今日のですね、この表彰式もまさに一期一会と思いますけれども、今のお気持ちをお聞かせください。
はい、本当にありがとうございます。楽しかった。仕事の人、林でこそ本当にありがとうございます。いいぞ。本当にありがとうございます。皆さんも本当にありがとうございます。
仕事の中でありがとうございますというお言葉を聞きましたけれども、彼女に対してのありがとうございますはまだ聞いていると思いますが、今日彼女はいらっしゃってるんですか？
忙しいです。彼女は今は忙しいの。または行きたいんだけど忙しかったです。
じゃあ今日会場にはいらっしゃってないんですね。
そうですね。
残念ですよ。
本当に大丈夫よ。頑張りましたよ。それでは本当にありがとうございました。いつも愛してる。
本当にとても気持ちのいいお答えをいただきましたけれども、これからこの日本語をどう生かしていきたいとか、彼女とこれからの将来はどのように進んでいきたいとか、今夢はございますか？
はい、夢です。夢本当にいろいろがあって本当に経験になりました。本当に話しやすいですね。最初は全然日本語がわかりません。だけど彼女はいつもゆっくり話しているから、本当は逃げたいでも少しずつ日本の言葉面白いだから少しずつもともと日本のこともともと知りたいですね。
はい、ありがとうございます。これからも彼女と楽しんで日本の生活をもっともっと楽しんでください。ありがとうございました。では皆様、今ステージ上にお揃いになっていらっしゃいます5名様に本日一番の拍手をお送りください。皆様本当におめでとうございます。それでは皆様どうぞお席へお進みくださいませ。今回は第3回目を迎えさせていただきましたが、たくさんの作品の中で昨年以上に